let me show you something which does not work. It's doing this. It's projecting your hatred and your venom with righteous conviction towards the person who hurt you. Now don't get me wrong, we're all guilty of this very limited response at times, and you've got to admit there's a certain thrill for being the one who's casting the judgment towards the target of your righteous wrath. But the outcome is limited, the blame game is limited, and not one of those outcomes is going to be the peace of mind or the clarity of heart that you're actually seeking, but you already know this. That's why you've already started to turn that finger inwards and poke and prod at your own inadequacies and insecurities and all those times where maybe you were the toxic one. But this also doesn't work, neither outwards nor inwards. When it's that constant undercurrent of blaming and shaming, you will be trapped in a very limited series of outcomes. So what's the next step? How can we go from blaming outwards to blaming inwards to hopefully transcending the dichotomy and eliminating the canalizing of our consciousness, that linear, directional focus, to be more of an open-handed, open-hearted, double-sided, double-faced awareness that every relationship has at least two participants and that we can own our own shadow without needing to project it, while simultaneously not going too far as to ignore reality as it happens. That's what we're going to explore today, and it's an incredibly triggering conversation, but I will take off the pressure by going first. Again, I want the single outcome of this video to be your ability to simultaneously not point that way and not point this way, but to eliminate the linearity into an open-handed assessment of the situation as you heal from trauma and conflict. All of that said, I'm going to bring through some of my toxic traits. I've thought, which two toxic traits do I want to focus on? What shall I admit in public to you? To try and demonstrate this sudden awareness that maybe I was the toxic one. Trait number 1. I used to be very particular in my desire for clear communication. I used to be frustrated when looking back over old situations with people who I used to associate myself with, when there were situations where I found out that they weren't being truthful. They weren't honest, they were hiding their emotions, and at the very least they were flanking conversations and bypassing reality with all of these words or just a withdrawal that got me incredibly frustrated and very naturally led to my private conviction that they were the toxic one. And that worked for a little bit of time as I pulled myself out of the pattern of this kind of subconscious victim mindset. Woe is me. Oh no, wait, I'm not the bad one, they're the bad one. But then you point it back and you're like, oh shit, I actually have my own toxic communication traits. And for me, the toxic trait, which I saw in every major relationship in my life, not just romantic relationships, but friendships, family situations, business connections, was my inability to forthrightly and directly express what was worrying me or what I didn't like without softening the information. This was my toxic pattern of always padding and being a little bit indirect, or maybe withholding a bit of information to not be confrontational, and of course I then get caught in the pattern of resentment and unmet need because I had an assumption or an expectation that wasn't articulated. I became the toxic one because I was holding someone to a standard which I hadn't made them aware of. And this actually ties into my second toxic trait, which I hope you will enjoy hearing about, because if you watch a few of these videos you can see that I've healed that trait more or less into a healthier version, so this is possible. But my second toxic trait was that I would enter every single room that I find myself in trying to make it better. I had to always improve every situation. Someone mentions at the gym that their trainer's a little bit too tight and they're uncomfortable, and here I am, Mr. Salvational, have you tried barefoot? Have you tried doing this with your ankle mobility? And it's just every time, all the time from roughly the age of 16 until I started to unpack this pattern maybe 3 years ago, which coincidentally is when I went full-time with coaching. I took that toxic trait and turned it into a healthier variant where I don't expect people to be receptive to my constant helping energy, which, when you become aware at a deeper level, is actually unconscious penetration, which feels very particularly like a certain type of someone's coming at you with way too much force. I'm not going to say the word, but it feels like the R word. Energetically, it feels like the R word when you're basically telling people with all of your awareness and all of your insight into life itself what they should do. It's intrusive. Doesn't feel good. And then you think, well, maybe they were the toxic one because they didn't want to grow and they were so stuck in their ways, and why couldn't they see that quitting that behavior or changing the way that they did this thing would really be the solution to our relationship issue? Again, not just romantic, but friendships or business connections. I wasn't owning my own shadow. I wasn't aware of the fact that I'm actually uncalibrated towards their energetic requirements, because all they wanted in a certain situation, let's say, was a bit of fun or a chat about a certain topic, or maybe just letting off some steam. And I had to come in with my penetrative insight and basically spread toxicity unintentionally. And there's many specificities that we could go into, but there's two examples right there where initially I was the one pointing my finger down the sights with my nice linear consciousness, focusing on why they were the issue, and then I get a moment where the pendulum shifts, and I'm confronted with my own inadequacies. What's next? We go from stage 1 to stage 2, but we're always in this plane. How can we transcend it to another level of awareness? Ultimately, it's eliminating the need for blame altogether. There's such a thing as having objective discernment of reality, being able to make an assessment of the facts that are going on around you when you've looked all the way that way and you've looked all the way this way. You can then stop being so linear. You can literally open up, which is why I'm emphasizing this gesture. This is what it feels like. It's opening to many possibilities, and it's being aware that everything becomes a bit of a 360-degree scenario if you spend enough time reflecting. With my toxic trait of not communicating clearly, and I thought I was communicating clearly, but then you get to a certain moment and you realize, I had private expectations and private assumptions which I wasn't aware of, and that actually was a little bit miscalibrated, or at times it was incredibly toxic. Again, toxic is subjective. It's nowhere near as toxic as being literally abusive or berating someone, but there's that kind of quiet, misdirected, miscommunicative withdrawing or holding back, which really doesn't serve anyone. The healed solution is to apply the opposite, which is to be more directional. But then I learned from my other toxic trait that I don't want to be too directional. And then you're pausing and thinking, well, Jordan, what's the point of doing anything? Because this video is full of contradictions, and how on earth can I actually heal from insert particular pattern if I was the toxic one? Unfortunately, I can't give you the answer. The point of opening up your consciousness is that you're the one who has the ability to discern the particularities of the particular situation. And I hope it's been clear throughout the video that the subtext of this entire conversation doesn't relate to extreme trauma. I'm not saying that you should pendulum towards victimization or looking where you were in the wrong if you've been the victim of assault or extreme abuse or something which is really terribly intense, especially a childhood situation. There's no excuse for that. If you're a 4-year-old in the past and something happened to you, that's not your fault. Of course it's not your fault. That's really quite a one-sided situation. I'm talking about adult-to-adult situations. I should have probably mentioned this earlier in the video, and if there's a few comments in the comments description saying, hey, what about childhood trauma? That's my mistake. I should have mentioned this a little bit earlier because that's the exception. The adult-to-adult situations require you to open up your end, but realistically, they need to open up their end. You can't have a 360-degree conversation if they're also stuck in the pointing mode, because they're not going to be aware of the fact that they also have their own shadow tendencies. You really need to be able to form those connections, or at the very least make those invitations for them to open up their awareness if you want to break that pattern of pointing in either direction. Yes, stage 2 is realizing that you were the toxic one, but I don't want you to lose sight of stage 3, which is integrating the dualities at a higher level of awareness. You have to realize your own fragility. You can have humility in regards to your own shortcomings. We can be consistently aware of our certain habits and behaviors. For example, I'm still aware at times, say during a client session, where I may be withholding information, and rather than either withdrawing all the way and saying, hey, you doing this thing in this session was upsetting or disrespectful, and I just don't mention it, and then resentment builds for over the months, and that's awful. And neither being, hey, you're doing this and you're wrong, and like way too overcharged, way too undercharged. The healing space is usually the middle territory. I could give so many specific examples, but that core principle of finding the middle territory, holding that ground right in the middle between the 2 points of tension, the overcharged and undercharged behaviors, and then waiting in that space until the particular person that you're trying to work things out with, or even just imaginatively work things out with, is going to join you in that perspective, you can actually get towards a more unionized experience. I hope this helps. There's no easy answer for what to do, but at the very least, you got to stop blaming. You got to remove that blaming pattern, but to get to the point where you can remove the blaming pattern, you can't skip the steps. And I suppose the ultimate high-level perspective is that if you can go from this to this to this in the space of 10 seconds, that's probably the healthy, healed version of this pattern, rather than 5 years of pointing outwards, 5 years of pointing inwards, and then getting towards that resolution. For certain situations that might be required, but for most adult-to-adult interactions, you can really condense that timeline and be pretty rapid and pretty organic in your processing. Fundamentally, blame doesn't need to have a major role in the healing process, but it is a step along that ladder, or it's an obstacle that we need to navigate as we go deeper into the journey. You'll eventually reach a point of acceptance, both acceptance of self and acceptance of other, as you understand the different energetic patterns that all humans are vulnerable to. You understand power, you understand greed, you understand all of the 7 deadly sins and how they operate inside of you, and that's shadow work. Can't give you all the specifics, but the fundamental principle of opening up, holding it all and not being too quick to judge, that's the secret. That's the real trick. So, it might not be your fault, it might not be my fault, it might be nobody's fault, but there's definitely some objective facts that we need to clarify before getting to that open-hearted emotional space, and that is your work and my work, and that's all I can say in one video. But please do join me over on the next video, because it's right over here, and we're going to do an equally contradictory and paradoxical conversation, because that is the nature of supposedly the higher levels of dichotomy transcendence right over here. And I'll see you over there.